grandmother died, I lost more than just the woman who raised me. I lost my future, my security, and my faith in family, all because my sister Amanda decided that being clever meant being cruel. I was in the garden when it happened, tending to Grandma Eleanor's prized roses. She taught me everything about them, which varieties needed more water, how to prune just right, when to cover them before frost. While Amanda was off at law school, living the high life on Grandma's money, I had stayed close to home, helping care for the woman who'd taken us in after our parents' accident. The roses look beautiful, Kate. My Aunt Susan's voice made me jump. She stood at the garden gate, her eyes red from crying. She's gone, sweetheart. About an hour ago. The pruning shears fell from my numb fingers. But I just saw her this morning. She was fine. We had tea, she told me about. Amanda was with her at the end. Susan cut in, her voice strange. She had Grandma sign some papers. My blood ran cold. What papers? 2 weeks later, I sat in our family lawyer's office, listening as Mr. Harrison read the new will, the one Amanda had somehow convinced Grandma to sign just hours before her death. And to my granddaughter Amanda, who has shown such promise in her legal studies, I leave my entire estate, including the house, investments, and the trust fund originally intended for Catherine. I couldn't breathe. The trust fund, $4 million that Grandma had set aside for me years ago, knowing I'd inherited her love of gardening and wanted to start my own landscaping business. All of it now Amanda's. This can't be right, I whispered. Grandma would never. Oh, but she did. Amanda's voice dripped satisfaction. She sat across from me in her expensive suit, every inch the polished law student. Everything's perfectly legal. I made sure of that. Mr. Harrison looked uncomfortable. The will appears properly executed, though the timing is unusual. Unusual? I stood up, anger finally breaking through my shock. She was dying. Amanda waited until she was barely conscious and what? Amanda's smile was cold. Made sound legal decisions. Protected the family assets from someone who wants to waste them on dirt and flowers. Please. I'm the one with the law degree, the one with actual potential. Grandma finally saw that. I stormed out of the office, Amanda's laughter following me. But as I drove home for now, until Amanda evicted me, a memory surfaced. One that gave me hope. It was from 3 months ago, one of our quiet evenings together while I helped Grandma sort through old photographs. Katie girl, she'd said, using her special nickname for me, remember the story about the missing diamond? I did. It was one of her favorites, about how her mother had hidden her most precious diamond necklace during the Depression, leaving clues in an old book. Everyone thought it was lost forever until Grandma found it years later, exactly where the clues said it would be. Sometimes, she continued, her eyes twinkling, the most valuable things need to be hidden where only the right person will think to look. At the time, I thought she was just reminiscing. Now, I pulled into the driveway of the grand old house that had been my home since I was 8. Amanda's house now, according to the new will. But something told me Grandma Eleanor, who'd spent her life outsmarting people who underestimated her, had one last trick up her sleeve. That evening, after Amanda left for her hotel, she wouldn't move in until I was gone, of course. I went to the library. The room was a maze of floor-to-ceiling bookshelves containing everything from first editions to gardening manuals. I went straight to the worn copy of The Secret Garden, Grandma's favorite book, and the first one she'd read to me after my parents died. Inside the front cover was her familiar handwriting. For my Katie girl, who understands that the most precious gardens are the ones we tend with love. Below that, in writing that looked shaky but determined, dated just 1 week before her death. The real treasure is hidden where the roses bloom in winter. My hands trembled as I closed the book. The roses that bloom in winter. Amanda would never understand the reference, but I did. In the greenhouse, there was a special section where Grandma grew her winter roses, a rare variety that bloomed to spite the cold. And under those roses, I practically ran to the greenhouse, fumbling with the key she'd given me years ago. In the back corner, the winter roses were still blooming, their pale pink petals ghostly in the moonlight. It took me an hour of careful digging, not wanting to damage the precious plants. Finally, my fingers hit something solid, a metal box, sealed against the elements. Inside was a document, a will, dated 1 month before her death, witnessed by her doctor and banker. And with it, a letter. My dearest Katie, If you're reading this, then Amanda has done exactly what I feared she might. Her father, your Uncle Richard, was the same way. Always taking, never understanding the value of growing things. This is my true will. The one Amanda made me sign won't stand against it. I've left instructions with my old friend Judge Morris, along with evidence of any undue influence Amanda might have used. The trust fund is yours, as it was always meant to be. The house, too. Amanda has her own trust from her father's side, though she conveniently never mentioned that, did she? Plant your gardens, my darling girl. Grow beautiful things. And remember that sometimes the best revenge against clever people is to be wise instead. All my love, Grandma Eleanor. I sat there in the greenhouse, surrounded by the roses we tended together, holding the proof that my grandmother had outsmarted the lawyer-to-be who thought she knew everything. Tomorrow, I'd take the will to Judge Morris. Tonight, I'd let Amanda enjoy her apparent victory. Let her think her legal tricks had won. Grandma always said the best gardens require patience. Sometimes justice does too. I carefully replaced the earth around the winter roses, making sure they were settled properly. As I worked, I could almost hear Grandma's voice. Remember, Katie girl, roses have thorns for a reason. Sometimes the most delicate things are also the best at defending themselves. She'd known Amanda would try something like this, and she prepared. Not with legal tricks or deft manipulation, but with wisdom and love and trust in the granddaughter who understood her best. Tomorrow would change everything. But tonight, I had the roses, the real will, and the knowledge that Grandma's last act had been to protect not just me, but the values she'd spent her life teaching me. Amanda thought being clever meant knowing the law. But Grandma had taught me that true wisdom means knowing people's hearts. And in the end, that wisdom had proven stronger than all my sister's legal tricks. I locked up the greenhouse, the metal box secure in my bag. In her hotel room across town, Amanda was probably celebrating her victory, imagining all the ways she'd spend her stolen inheritance. Let her celebrate. The best victories are the ones you never see coming. The next morning, I arrived at Judge Morris's chambers clutching both the metal box and a bouquet of winter roses. His secretary's eyes widened when I gave my name. Miss Catherine, the judge has been expecting you. He said to send you in immediately if you ever came. Judge Morris was exactly as Grandma had described him, tall, distinguished, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He stood as I entered, looking at the roses with understanding. Eleanor's winter roses, he said softly. So you found it. I placed the metal box on his desk. You knew? He nodded, settling back into his chair. Your grandmother came to me a month before she passed. She knew Amanda was planning something. The new trust fund documents your sister had been reviewing for her. They were a red flag. He opened the box, examining the will and accompanying documents. Eleanor was no fool. She kept detailed records of every conversation with Amanda over the past year. The subtle pressure, the manipulative suggestions, the convenient legal advice about changing her will. Will it be enough? I asked. To invalidate the deathbed will? Judge Morris smiled. More than enough. But Eleanor wanted to wait, to let Amanda show her true colors first. She said, and I quote, sometimes you have to let the weeds grow tall enough to pull them out by the roots. 2 hours later, I sat in the main conference room of Harrison and Associates, watching Amanda stride in with her usual confident smirk. Her new designer handbag probably cost more than my car, no doubt purchased with what she thought was her new inheritance. Really, Kate, she sighed, seeing me. More legal challenges? I thought I explained this clearly. The will is ironclad. Is it? Judge Morris's voice made her spin around. He stood in the doorway, holding the metal box. Perhaps we should discuss the actual ironclad will, the one your grandmother prepared when she was of sound mind and body, not hours from death. Amanda's face went pale. What is this? Mr. Harrison cleared his throat. Amanda, you might want to sit down for this. The next hour was a masterclass in justice. Judge Morris methodically went through every document, the real will, Grandma's detailed records of Amanda's manipulation, statements from the doctor about her mental state in her final hours. This is ridiculous, Amanda interrupted, but her voice shook. That will isn't valid. I made sure. She stopped, realizing what she just admitted. Made sure of what? Judge Morris asked mildly. That your grandmother was too weak to resist when you pressured her to sign a new will. The one you had prepared in advance, just waiting for the right moment. I deserved that inheritance, Amanda shouted, her polished facade cracking. I'm the one with the law degree, the one with real plans. Kate just wants to play in the dirt like some glorified gardener. Your grandmother, Judge Morris said firmly, wanted her estate used to create beautiful things, not fund a lifestyle of manipulation and greed. She chose Catherine because she saw in her the same values she held dear. This isn't over, Amanda snarled, grabbing her designer bag. I'll fight this. You'll what? I finally spoke. Use your legal knowledge. The knowledge you used to manipulate a dying woman. By the way, Grandma knew about your other trust fund. The one from Uncle Richard. Amanda froze. How did she? She had better lawyers than you, Judge Morris smiled. Ones with ethics. That trust fund is quite substantial, isn't it? More than enough to fund your real plans without stealing from your sister. Watching Amanda's face, I finally understood what Grandma had meant about letting weeds grow tall enough to pull out either roots. My sister had revealed exactly who she was, and now she couldn't hide it anymore. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings. Amanda's deathbed will was invalidated. The real will was verified and executed. And my sister, well, she did what she'd always done when things didn't go her way. She ran. Last I heard, she'd taken a job at a corporate law firm in Chicago, probably plotting her next clever scheme. But she'd lost more than just the inheritance. She'd lost any claim to Grandma's legacy, the house, the gardens, the respect of everyone who'd known Eleanor Mills. I stood in the greenhouse, tending to the winter roses that had protected Grandma's real will. The trust fund was being transferred to my accounts. But that wasn't what mattered most. What mattered was that I could finally start building what Grandma and I had planned together. The landscaping business would focus on creating sustainable gardens, teaching people to grow beautiful things even in unlikely places, like winter roses blooming despite the cold. Miss Catherine, my new assistant Sarah poked her head in. The contractors are here to discuss the education center plans. I smiled, remembering Grandma's vision, using part of the estate to create a place where children could learn about gardening, about patience, about helping things grow. Tell them I'll be right there, just finishing up with the roses. As I gathered my tools, I spotted something carved into the greenhouse wall, hidden behind a climbing vine. Grandma's handwriting. For my Katie girl, remember that the most valuable things we grow are not the flowers themselves, but the wisdom to nurture them, the patience to wait for them, and the love to share them. Never let the clever people make you doubt your kind of wisdom. I touched the words gently. Amanda had thought she was so smart, using legal tricks to steal what she wanted. But Grandma had understood a deeper truth, that real wealth isn't just about money. It's about values, about growing things that last, about leaving the world more beautiful than you found it. The contractors were waiting to help me build something new, something that would honor Grandma's legacy in a way Amanda's legal schemes never could. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving someone wrong. It's proving yourself right. I locked up the greenhouse, patting the winter roses one last time. They'd done their job, protecting Grandma's real will until the right moment. Now it was my turn to protect her legacy, to grow it into something even more beautiful. Amanda had wanted to take everything, thinking that cleverness was enough. But Grandma had known better. She trusted that wisdom, patience, and love would win in the end. And as always, Grandma had been right. 1 year after finding Grandma's real will, I stood in the transformed backyard of the estate, watching as dozens of children planted their first seeds in the new learning gardens. The Eleanor Mills Garden Education Center was everything Grandma and I had dreamed of, and more. Miss Kate. 7-year-old Tommy ran up, his hands covered in soil. My sunflower is taller than Billy's. Remember what we learned about gardening? I knelt beside him. It's not about being better than someone else's flower. It's about helping your own grow strong. He nodded seriously. Like your grandma's winter roses? Exactly like that. The winter roses had become something of a legend among the students. I propagated them carefully, creating a special section where they bloomed year-round, reminding me daily of Grandma's wisdom. Sarah approached, tablet in hand. The magazine crew is here for the interview, and there's something else you should see. She handed me her tablet, open to a legal news website. The headline made my stomach clench. Rising star attorney disbarred for ethical violations. The photo showed Amanda being escorted from her Chicago law office, clutching her designer bag like a shield. According to the article, she'd been caught falsifying documents in a major corporate case, the same trick she tried to use with Grandma's will, but this time with less success. Her firm is pressing charges, Sarah added quietly. They're saying this wasn't her first offense. I handed back the tablet, feeling a complex mix of emotions. Part of me was sad for my sister, whose cleverness had finally outsmarted itself. But another part remembered her smirk as she tried to steal my inheritance, her contempt for everything Grandma valued. Miss Kate. Tommy tugged my sleeve. Can we water the roses now? Of course, sweetie. The roses always come first. But life has a way of bringing things full circle. 3 days later, I found Amanda sitting on the front steps of the estate, looking nothing like the polished lawyer who tried to steal my inheritance. Her designer clothes were wrinkled, her makeup smeared. Come to gloat? She asked bitterly. Actually, I'm here to tend the gardens. You know, playing in the dirt as you called it. She flinched. I lost everything, Kate. My job, my reputation, my future. Like you tried to take everything from me. That was different. I had plans, ambitions. And I didn't. I gestured at the thriving education center, the new greenhouses, the lines of children eagerly learning about nature. This was my ambition, Amanda, creating something that helps things grow, including people. I need help, she whispered. Money, a place to stay. I'm your sister. I looked at her for a long moment, remembering Grandma's words about wisdom versus cleverness. You're right, you are my sister, which is why I'm going to help you, but not the way you want. What do you mean? There's a position open here. Assistant gardener, working with the children's program. Room and board included, modest salary. Hard work, dirty hands, and a chance to learn what Grandma tried to teach us both. You want me to be your gardener? She sounded horrified. I'm a lawyer, or I was. No, I want you to learn what real growth looks like, to understand why Grandma chose me to carry on her legacy. Take it or leave it. She stared at the ground for a long time. Finally, in a voice barely above a whisper, when do I start? The next few months were interesting. Amanda struggled with the physical work, complained about the early mornings, and initially treated the children like annoying obstacles. But gradually, something changed. I found her one evening in the winter rose section, carefully removing dead leaves from the plants. They're so delicate, she said, not looking at me. But strong too. I never understood before. What Grandma saw in them. What she saw in you. Amanda's hands stilled on the roses. I thought being clever was enough, that knowing the law meant I could take whatever I wanted. But watching you here, seeing what you've built. It's what we've built, I corrected her. Grandma's legacy. She finally turned to face me, eyes shining with tears. I found this. She pulled a folded paper from her pocket, in one of Grandma's old books. It was a photo of us as children before our parents' accident. Amanda and I were in Grandma's garden, both covered in mud, laughing as we planted marigolds. We were both gardeners once, I said softly. Think I could be one again. I handed her a pair of pruning shears. Winter roses need careful handling. Want to learn? As I taught my sister the proper way to tend the roses that had saved her from her own worst instincts, I thought about Grandma's final lesson. Sometimes the things we try to take by force only come to us when we're ready to nurture them instead. Amanda had wanted to steal an inheritance. Instead, she was finally inheriting what really mattered, the wisdom to help things grow. The children started calling her Miss Mandy, delighting in teaching her what they'd learned about patience, care, and the joy of seeing something bloom against the odds. And in the greenhouse, where winter roses still guarded their long-ago secret, two sisters learned to grow something new from the roots